going on? Just 1 second, we'll get started in a moment. Okay, how's everybody doing today? Okay, we're going to be starting live in just a moment. We'll start in a moment after we give everybody a chance to get on. Okay, welcome everybody to today's lunch break with the Rabbi. Today is Wednesday, December 23rd, 2020. As we continue our discussions that we have every single day, we've also been speaking about the Torah reading and also how it relates into our life. But as you know, we've been going through different fascinating facts and different concepts in Judaism as things that can help us perfect our life. As we know that the Torah is a guide. In fact, the word the Torah means comes from the word hora'ah, lesson. And everything we study in the Torah is not just merely a history book of something that happened many years ago, but it is actually a guide in our day-to-day life and how we have to behave and what we can do and what we can learn to make our lives better, more productive, and meaningful. Which brings us to the concept of relationships. You know, there's many different types of relationships, and maybe we'll expound on this a little bit more next week. But there's different kinds of relationships. There's relationship, spousal relationship, there's parent and child relationship, and each one takes a new dimension, and each one has another microcosm and macrocosm of how it involves and envelopes and deals with those relationships. But there's one key ingredient which is necessary in any kind of relationship, and that is God. In any relationship that we need, that we have, God is a necessary component. Not only that God should be in the background, and not only that God should be something, yes, we believe in God or whatever it may be, but in order for a relationship to be solid, grounded, God has to be a part of it. And what does that mean? And who needs it? Why should I need a relationship? Let a person say, I'll just live on an island, don't bother me, I won't bother you. What's the necessary reason that we need relationships? When we look when God created the universe, every single day of the creation, God said, behold, this is good, that is good, and so on. When finally he created the human being, God said it's not good for man to be alone. Meaning that God realized that human beings, by definition, need relationships. Human beings, by definition, need companionship in any shape, whether it may be a friend, whether it may be a spouse, or a child, or a parent. Now, sometimes we ruin our relationships, or sometimes our relationship is such, which is a negative kind of relationship, but nonetheless, it's a relationship. But why is God so important in this component? We say in our daily prayers every single day, right before we say the Shema, HaMechadesh betuvo bechol yom tamid. God, who renews the world from beginning, who renews the world from new every single moment. That means every single moment we are given a chance to renew this relationship we have with God. But because every single moment we have a chance to renew the relationship with God, that also gives us an opportunity to renew the relationship with our spouse and with our children. There's no such thing as a time forgotten. There's no such thing that just because I didn't do it yesterday, I can't do it today. The biggest proof is this week's Torah reading. This week's Torah reading tells us about a father and son who've been missing each other for over 20 years. Brothers who haven't gotten along for over 20 years. And all of a sudden, what happens? They both communicate with each other. And they both come along and say, wow, we can actually mend the past. Joseph in last week's Torah reading looked like he was angry at his brothers. He wanted to get back at them. He was looking to be able to do whatever he can to be able to show them what they've done wrong. But over here in this week's Torah reading, what does he tell his brothers when he identifies himself to them? It's not your fault that I'm here. It is God that sent me here. It is not your fault that I am here in Egypt, because look, now I have the opportunity to supply you and give you everything you need. Joseph was teaching his brothers and teaching us a very important lesson. Even a fractured relationship always has a way how it can be mended. Even a fractured relationship doesn't mean that the relationship is gone. It means that there could be more that has to be done to fix it. But there's always a deepened reason why that happened. And we need to dig deeper to see what we can do to mend that relationship and see the positive that comes out of it. Have you ever noticed that sometimes after you get upset at somebody, you become better friends with them even than before you got upset? It's the same idea Joseph was teaching his brothers. It wasn't that he was upset at them. Joseph was a tzaddik. Joseph was the only one of their forefathers who's actually named as a tzaddik, as a righteous person. Abraham is called Abraham, our forefather. Moses, our teacher. Joseph is called a tzaddik. Joseph was able to be successful, notwithstanding all the trials and tribulations that he was put through, whether it would be from the seduction from the wife of Potiphar, the people in Egypt trying to throw him down in any shape and form, even while he was in jail. And finally, he becomes the viceroy of Egypt, and his brothers come. And you would think, what does he do? He tells them, it's not your fault. God sent me here so that we can come down to Egypt respectfully instead of in chains. God knew that the Jewish people have to be in Egypt, as God promised to Abraham, that only afterwards will they go out with great wealth. There was a process of descent in order to come to the ascent afterwards. There was a process of the trial and tribulations of the running around in order that they can come to some type of great elevation afterwards. What Joseph was teaching his brothers, that relationships are an important component in life, and never realize and never abuse them. But at the same time, remember that anything that happens in life has a reason, has a specific time and place for it to happen. And we have to be in tune with that specific reason and appreciate the fact and reality of why it's happening. We too today, every single one of us has all different relationships. We have relationships with our spouse, relationship with our children. But beyond that, we have to remember that that relationship is constantly being renewed and needs to be godly infused. That relationship was never something that we should overlook. It's something we should never take for granted. We should appreciate it, capitalize it, and enjoy it. And look, even at the downtimes in our relationship, what can it do to make our relationship even better, stronger, healthier, and happier? With our spouse or children, or with God? Both of them. Because when we become stronger with God, our relationships also become stronger. When we become a stronger and better, healthier person, then we become stronger and healthier with the people that we're with. So what Joseph was teaching his brothers then, as we mentioned in the beginning of our class, is contemporary and applicable to every single one of us. We don't have to have a 20-year fight or sell our brother down to Egypt to realize we did something wrong. And we don't have to have a brother that's a viceroy of Egypt to teach us that we can always repair it and do something right. Every single one of us in our own life can find something that we can improve on and look for the times that was down, the time we spent together, and how we can make that better, happier, and healthier. Wishing you a wonderful day, and make sure your relationship has God within you, because when you have God with you, everything goes right. All the best.